Thank you for tuning in to the Into the Classroom series produced by Mental Health California, sponsored by Blue Shield of California's Blue Sky Initiative.
Welcome to Into the Classroom, which is a student mental health awareness multimedia series produced by Mental Health California. I'm your host, Conrad Crump, affectionately known as Coach Crump, and today's topic is on understanding and managing panic attacks and empowering teens and college students. Now, when it comes to panic attacks, they can cause serious disruption to a person's life. Dealing with panic attacks can be challenging, but with the right support, teens and young adults can manage them in healthy ways. By recognizing the symptoms, practicing relaxation techniques, and considering therapeutic interventions, young people can overcome their panic disorder and regain control of their lives. Today, we'll discuss holistic strategies that contribute to a comprehensive and empowering approach to manage panic attacks. We'll also talk about the role of schools in educating students about panic disorder. Remember, you are not alone, and there is help available to support you on your journey toward mental well-being. Today, I'm excited and pleased to introduce our clinician, Ali Garza. Now, Ali is a licensed clinical social worker on faculty with the Department of Psychiatry at the University of Colorado. She has expertise in youth suicide prevention, crisis intervention, supporting parents and families, and treating OCD and anxiety-related disorders. Welcome to the discussion, Ali.
Hi, thanks for having me again.
Yes, indeed. I'd also like to take the time to introduce our youth guests. Today we have with us Nicholas Crawford from Hampton University. Hey, Nicholas, how's it going?
Going good. Happy to be here.
Awesome. And we also have with us Joel Suazo of Los Angeles City College. What's up, Joel?
What's up, everybody?
Good. I'm also pleased to welcome Monica Tamayo from the University of California at Los Angeles. Hey there, Monica.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yes, indeed. And last but certainly not least, I'd like to introduce Randy Rosemond, who is also a student at Texas Southern University. Hey there, Randy. How are you?
Hey, everybody. Hope everyone's doing good.
Good. So now that we're all here, before we get into our conversation, I'd actually like to ask Ali, our licensed clinician, if she can provide brief clinical insights into panic attacks and strategies to help manage them. Ali?
Yeah, absolutely. So panic disorder is under the umbrella of anxiety-related disorders. There's been a lot of kind of confusion and misunderstanding in general public about what is a panic attack versus an anxiety attack. And how that presents and looks is very different. But some of the key things with panic disorder is that one, it's very much fixated around physical sensations, kind of like different types of medical type of symptoms that a lot of the times people who are having a panic attack will go to the ER because they think that they're having some sort of medical episode. The problem with this is that it becomes this really reinforcing cycle. And actually where I feel like there's such a need for intervention is at the ER to get people connected to the appropriate care. So some of the things that we want to be on the lookout for is sensations such as like heart racing, sweating, nausea, tingling, like numbness and tingling in your fingers and toes, typical things that would bring someone to the ER. And these are also kind of the crucial pieces of what you will see when someone's having a panic attack.
Hey, thanks a lot for that, Ali. That's great information because I didn't know the difference between the two. So I appreciate you kind of breaking that down for me. Now I'd like to hear from some of our young folks. Just by a show of hands, has anyone here experienced or know someone who's experienced a panic attack? Okay. I see a couple hands go up there. Obviously, they're not alone. So, given that I saw a few hands, I'd like to ask Joel, I saw your hand raised. What was happening during this panic attack? Can you describe what was going on?
Yeah, so I've seen a couple people maybe have like a panic attack, whether it's, a classroom presentation or like an interview or something that's going on very intense for that person. Either, even myself, I would say when I have like an interview, or even sometimes like this when I answer questions and I don't really know what's going on, but I'll either sweat, my heartbeat will start racing, and then I'll get a little anxiety or a little stressed out, depending on what the situation is. But that's from my own experience.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that, Joel. And you're certainly not alone, man. Believe me. Monica, I saw your hand raised as well. Would you like to elaborate?
Yeah, so first off, I did notice that I was using the two like panic and anxiety interchangeably. But I think Ali really cleared it up, and then I can talk about an experience that I've had with a friend who he was told some very unfortunate news by the doctor, and he was dismissed. He was told to go home, and then later on, out the nowhere, he just started like freaking out again, saying, "No, I'm not okay. Like I feel this and I feel that," and then all of a sudden, he started getting um, like his color started going down. He started like sweating a lot, and then he was just like, "I gotta go to the doctor." And then we get there, and then again they said it was nothing, but it was just that panic attack that was kicking in.
Wow. Well, thanks for sharing. That's interesting information and certainly something that I'm sure some other folks can identify with as well. So now let's go ahead and get into our presentation of understanding and managing panic attacks and identifying ways of empowering teens and college students. So, panic attacks, as we've kind of heard earlier, are intense episodes of fear and anxiety that can occur suddenly and without warning. They are often accompanied by physical symptoms such as a rapid heartbeat, shortness of breath, chest pain, dizziness, as well as a sense of impending doom. Panic attacks can be triggered by various factors, including stress, trauma, genetics, and underlying mental health conditions such as panic disorder or anxiety disorders. Let's go ahead and go on to our next slide. So, as we talk about panic disorder among young people, let's also talk about some statistics. So, according to the National Institute of Mental Health, approximately 8% of teenagers experience panic disorder. And in another study published by the Journal of Adolescent Health, they found that 2% of college students reported experiencing panic attacks in the last month. And as we go on to our next slide, we also see that the Anxiety and Depression Association of America reports that panic disorder affects about 2 to 3% of adults in the United States, with onset typically occurring in late adolescence or in early childhood. Additionally, research published in the Journal of Clinical Child and Adolescent Psychology suggests that panic disorder is more common among young females than young males during adolescence. So let's go ahead and move on to our next slide. And let's talk about cultural insights and positive community influences. Now, different cultures may have unique different perspectives and approaches to mental health. Now, it's important to consider cultural insights and provide culturally relevant support for individuals dealing with panic disorder. Positive community-based organizations can also play a crucial role in fostering hope and providing resources for diverse people dealing with panic disorder. And, Ali, I want to pivot to you a little bit here. Can you talk to us about the significance of having those positive community influences?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's some unique things that come up with not only panic disorder, but also disorders that you see that tend to go hand in hand, such as OCD, health anxiety disorder, social anxiety, that are key for the people in our world and in our social supports to know. I think when we have people that are strong supports that also know that when these episodes come up, what to do and what not to do, can be a really key piece in being able to recover from panic disorder. I think, at least for OCD, like 97% of people who have that disorder have some form of like family accommodations or ways that basically is inadvertently fueling the OCD and anxiety. And so with panic disorder, it's a really tough treatment, and making sure that like loved ones are on the same page and have the same education about how we're taking it on, what we're going to do when that episode comes up, is really a key piece to recovery.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that. That's an interesting tidbit of information that you gave there. That's, what you think is helping is actually contributing and causing. So it can be somewhat of a unique cycle. So interesting. Thanks for that, Ali. Let's go ahead and move on to our next slide. So support from our family. Now, this is important as well. And I'd actually like to ask some of our young people, here on the call, Randy, why is it important for a young person to get support from their family?
I think it's important to get support, especially from your family, because you're around them the most. So if that's your normal environment, that's kind of what you intake since you're around that most of the time. And it's important to be supported by the people you're close to, the people that you love. They're supposed to be significant figures in your life. So not receiving that support from them can kind of like influence like how you view yourself as well. So
Very good. Thanks for that. Yeah, no, that's good info. I want to ask you, Nicholas, and make sure I get you in here as well. Do you have any additional thoughts on why the family is really important in terms of supporting young folks with panic disorder?
Yeah, I think your immediate nuclear family is extremely important to your overall life and your upbringing and whatnot. So for people with panic disorders, getting help from their family is crucial, because usually they're like the first people who will notice that you have these types of problems, or they'll be the people who can help you get the best care. So it's important to have, strong family bonds and relationships, and, just knowing that you got people to look out for you.
Yeah, no, that's so true. That's true, and thanks a lot for that. It's true that learning about panic disorder and understanding the impact can definitely help families, as well, and help them to provide the empathy and support to their loved ones, and also encouraging young folks to seek professional help and supporting them throughout the treatment process, right? So if your family is the one that's encouraging you to, seek that support, seek that help, it can be instrumental in managing those panic attacks. And, finally, just being in a place that's safe and understanding, like at home, can certainly help reduce stress and anxiety, and can help to contribute to better overall mental health for our young folks. So all of that are great tips for our families to be sure that they're engaged and involved in this process. Let's go ahead and go on to our next slide. Now, some may ask, what is the role of the educational institution, right? Well, some schools definitely can help by a number of different ways, one of which is offering counseling services or support groups and educational programs on mental health to raise awareness and provide resources for students. Additionally, schools can help students by providing flexible accommodations. I think I heard Ali talk about that a little bit earlier. Having those flexible accommodations, whether it be extended deadlines or alternative testing arrangements, all of which can help to reduce stress and anxiety for students with panic disorder. Lastly, educating teachers and staff about panic disorder and its impact can help to create a supportive and understanding environment for students who may feel that their anxiety levels are higher than normal. All good tips for schools. Now let's go ahead and move on to our next slide. Now, when we talk about clinical solutions for panic attacks, there are a number of different therapies and solutions and approaches, one of which is cognitive behavioral therapy, which is a highly effective therapeutic approach for treating panic disorder. Now, it focuses on identifying and challenging negative thought patterns and behaviors associated with panic attacks. CBT, for short, equips individuals with coping strategies and tools to manage panic attacks and reduce their frequency. It also teaches coping skills and relaxation techniques to manage anxiety. So, Ali, as our licensed clinician here with us today, can you tell us about some of these clinical solutions and resources for young folks experiencing panic attacks?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, panic disorder, like those other types of disorders, is a very specialized kind of disorder that needs a specialized level of care. So under the CBT umbrella, which CBT can be used for anxiety, like generalized anxiety disorder, depression, disorders like that. But under that umbrella, there's also ERP, exposure and response prevention therapy. So when we are treating someone who has panic disorder, what we're going to be doing is actually looking at what what makes it stronger, which is actually the fear of having a panic attack, which is very backward. So basically, the thing that's going to make panic disorder so debilitating is your lack of willingness to have those sensations. It's just like that beach ball being pushed underwater type of sensation, or like, the finger toys that kids have, that the harder they try to avoid having a panic attack, or like the more that they feel like this is dangerous, this is bad, I need it to stop, actually the stronger and more debilitating it gets. So what we do is basically create interoceptive exposures. For example, I've had many a person, including myself, I have my own lived experience with panic disorder of practicing breathing through a straw, or walking up and down the stairs, or spinning in a chair, to actually choose and willingly bring on those sensations, so that when a panic attack comes, we kind of can have a more bring it on approach rather than a brace for impact. Because it's actually when we try to avoid it is when it gets stronger. And also we tend to be more avoidant, and our world can get very, very small. So that's kind of a small snapshot of what treating panic disorder looks like.
Wow. Yeah. Thanks a lot for that, Ali. That's very great, good information that can certainly be used by some of the folks in our audience, and something to think about, if in the event of a panic attack. So, additional solutions also include a number of different things, like joining a support group for individuals with panic disorder. This can help to provide a sense of community and understanding, and having shared experiences and coping strategies with others who have similar challenges can certainly be empowering. Additionally, a psychiatric evaluation can also help to determine if there are underlying mental health conditions contributing to these panic attacks. If necessary, a psychiatrist can prescribe appropriate medication to manage symptoms as well. Now, let's go ahead and go on to our next slide, because there also is this aspect of holistic and culturally relevant solutions. So I want to make sure we bring some of this in here, because engaging in these relevant, culturally competent, holistic solutions are something that certainly can be beneficial as well. Some of these include mind-body practices like yoga or Tai Chi or meditation, all of which can promote relaxation and help to reduce stress and improve your overall well-being. And incorporating cultural practices and rituals that promote relaxation and emotional well-being can just be beneficial and help young folks as they are going along their wellness journey. This also may include other traditional healing practices like music or dance or even art therapy. So all of these are certainly great tips to consider for young folks who may be having a panic attack. Now let's go ahead and go into our next slide. Now, the aspect of self-care. Now, self-care is definitely significant, a huge tool for managing panic attacks. Engaging in regular physical activities such as jogging or biking can help to reduce anxiety and promote overall well-being. Exercise releases endorphins, which are natural mood boosters. So it's recommended to engage in exercise as much as possible to help manage your panic attacks. Additionally, maintaining a balanced diet, as well as getting enough sleep and avoiding excessive caffeine and alcohol consumption, can also contribute to overall mental well-being and also help to reduce the likelihood of panic attacks. So let me pivot now to some of our youth here today. And I'm just curious to ask, what are some of the self-care tips that you would recommend, or something that you use that works well for you? And I'll start with you, Nicholas. Can you talk to me about what self-care looks like for you?
Sure. I think I mentioned this in a previous production, but the main form of self-care I use is exercise, in the form of the gym. What you said, and like exercise releases endorphins. That's very true. Because I was literally just hooping earlier today with some friends. And afterwards, like it's like you get that type of runner's high, you just feel better. I just felt, happier about life and everything. So I think exercise is a huge, like, it's a huge tool that people can use to alleviate some of the stress and panic attacks.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks a lot for that. How about you, Joel? What are some self-care tips?
Some of the self-care tips that I use is also exercise, like Nicholas said, and also breathing techniques. Like, once you relax, maybe close your eyes and sit there and breathe and focus on, how much air you're inhaling and how much air you're exhaling, or even just holding it for a moment, doing that repetitive a couple times, it'll slower your heart rate, it'll sink you down and like more of ground you. And, that has been very helpful for me. And I think it would be helpful for other people who are having panic attacks also.
Oh, that's really good. Thanks a lot for that, Joel. And how about you, Monica?
Yeah, so one of my favorite self-care tips is just going outside, making sure that I'm not indoors all day because sometimes like I could get like lost in like my work and I notice like, oh, I haven't even stepped out. I haven't even seen the sun today. And then just going out just makes me feel better because I'm out of that like work environment. I step out into fresh air. That always feels good. And then also making sure that I have a balanced diet. It's not always easy, especially as a college student, but I at least try to make sure that I choose like one of the healthier options. So I'll go for like chicken as opposed to like red meat if I am going to be eating out. And just like little things like that and staying hydrated.
Oh, very good. Thanks a lot for that, Monica. And last but not least, Randy, can you talk to us about what self-care looks like for you?
So for me with self-care, I have a sleep routine that I like to do in the morning and in the night. And even when I'm feeling like sluggish or down that day, just getting up and doing my skincare routine so I feel like refreshed and like clean. It'll just help my balance my mood as well. And also making sure I get a good meal, either cooking or going out to get it and staying hydrated as well. I like to fill up my water bottle at least like 5 times a day. Stuff like that.
Wow, that's very impressive. I mean, filling up the water bottle and staying hydrated is certainly important, but 5 times a day, you definitely got me beat. So kudos to you on that. I've heard some great tips. I mean, I've heard skincare routine, which I'm going to try to implement. That's something that I think is new for me. I heard exercise a couple of times. I heard going outside, getting into the sun. I actually did that earlier today when I had my lunch. I decided to go outside and sit in the sun while I'm eating, and it just really lifted my mood. Another piece I would say that I heard and I feel is really significant is breathing. And I know, we've had different conversations about this throughout our Into the Classroom sessions, but truly breathing is such a huge benefit, especially if you're in the midst of a panic attack. And I kind of want to ask you, Ali, if you can maybe shed a little bit more light on this, the aspect of breathing and how that can help, just manage the panic attack an individual might be feeling.
Yeah, that is such a great question. So basically, with any sort of self-care tip and it's like any sort of coping skill, we want to be looking at the function behind it. There's nothing overtly or like wrong or bad about coping skills or breathing techniques. Those things are all good. It's just how we're using them. So if someone is having a panic attack and they are going through treatment, trying to, decrease the level of impairment from panic disorder, when a panic attack comes on, doing like breathing as a means to try to stop a panic attack will actually make it worse or get you more stuck because it's basically saying to our anxiety and to our brain, like, I can't handle this. I need to avoid this feeling. I need to get rid of it. So I would say with all those different things, yes, we love mindfulness and not as a means to get rid of anxiety in that moment. It's something that we want to practice at other times when we're not at that peak. And also just set this, like, I think those things can help set the stage as far as, like the self-care tips we talked about before. If you have only had 2 lattes that day and slept 3 hours, it's not putting you in a great position to be willing to like have that experience and be willing to kind of ride the wave of the panic attack. And so similarly, if we're not practicing mindfulness outside of the panic attack, we may not have a great base to be able to go into it with that level of willingness, and practice the exposure that we need to in order to treat it. So.
Wow, that's very good. You just taught me something right now, because in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, there may be some breathing exercises or breathing techniques that can help to alleviate, but it can actually be counterproductive if I'm understanding you correctly, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like the finger toy, as a kid, or a beach ball, right? That we actually want to have a bring it on approach, not a I can't handle this. So that's where other disorders, other kinds of condition, like that's great. And similarly for panic disorder, it's good just at a particular time when we're using it for a different type of function, not to get rid of it, but rather to set the stage ahead of time. So
wonderful. Well, that's great. Thanks a lot for that, Allie. See, and this is why she's here. This is why I give mad props to Allie, because she's always dropping gems and helping us learn a little bit more about all of these things relating to our mental health and mental wellness. So I appreciate you. Some of the other tips and activities that folks can do to really engage in are activities that bring them joy, right? Activities that bring relaxation. This can include hobbies or spending time outside in nature, all of which can help to promote well-being and reduce stress. I know for me, one of the things that brings me joy is actually gardening or planting with my plants. I have a number of different plants in my home and outside of my home, all of which I, take the time, spend time watering, pruning, just kind of like taking care of them. And it brings me joy and it brings me relaxation. And it's just something that I have found actually during the pandemic that I found out I really enjoyed and I really liked. So I'm curious to know, like, what are some of the other not self-care practices, but what are some of the things that bring you joy? So I know that's a little bit of a different question, but I kind of want to go around and ask some of our young folks, what things bring you joy and relaxation? And I'll start with you, Monica.
Yeah, so people always look at me crazy for this one, but I love like organizing and like just seeing like a clean space. So I will reorganize like areas so many times just because I love it. And I keep trying to find like the best way to store something. And to me, it's kind of like a Tetris game sometimes. Like when I'm putting like my board games away, for example, like I love seeing how they all fit together. And then I also like Sudoku puzzles as well. So like so much to the point where like someone got me like a Sudoku toilet paper. That might be too TMI, but I always think it's like a fun gift because I know I love Sudoku, so I'm like always like doing one every single day. So yeah.
That's pretty cool. No, thanks for that. I appreciate that. How about you, Randy? What brings you joy?
So for me, it's really like listening to music, going out for a drive, making cookies. I love making cookies and having vanilla ice cream. That's and reading. I like reading too, and all that together. That really brings me joy. But really, music too.
Especially when you have the drive with the right music while you're eating the cookies or maybe the ice cream, like all that trifecta coming together. I bet that's just like an amazing time, right? Just got the beautiful like scenery. All of that can certainly bring a person joy and give them excitement. So thanks for that. How about you, Nicholas?
I'm gonna assume you mean like conscious activities because if I had to choose, it would just be sleep, like sleep.
Hey, that counts.
But that's kind of a cop out. I feel like just sleep. So I guess if I had like a hobby, it'd probably just be playing chess. I like to play a lot of chess.
Okay. Okay, a little mind stimulation there. I like that. But hey, nothing wrong with getting sleep because I did say brings you joy or brings you relaxation. So certainly that counts. That counts. All right. How about you, Joel? Bring us home. What brings you joy and relaxation?
For me, like one of the slides was mentioned earlier, is doing like art therapy. I like to
Mhm.
draw. I'm actually really good at drawing, and I'm going to LACC for graphic design as of right now. But that's something that has always been my
Wow.
hobby that I like to do. So, when I do it and I look at different colors, it brings me different moods, and it also just, stimulates my mind and relaxes me.
Wow. So, I mean, I heard a great number of different things: puzzles, Sudoku puzzles, art therapy, sleeping, driving, listening to music. I mean, you've heard it here today, folks. There are a number of ways to find joy, a number of ways to get that relaxation, and a number of ways to empower young people to help understand and manage their panic attacks and anxiety. At this time, I'd like to take the time to really personally thank each of our youth participants. Thank you, Nicholas. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Joel. And thank you, Randy, for your contributions to our conversation today. I also, again, want to give a huge thank you to our clinician, Allie, again, for dropping those gems and giving us that clinical perspective and insight to our conversation today. And I'd also like to thank you, our audience, for joining Into the Classroom, which is a production of Mental Health California. Please be sure to visit us at mentalhealthca.org. And if you'd like to access health and mental wellness topics for boys and men of color, please visit our signature initiative at brotherbewell.com. And while you're there, be sure to subscribe to our blog. Lastly, I'd like to give a huge thank you to our sponsor, Blue Shield of California's Blue Sky Initiative, which promotes access to mental health support. You can learn all about their program at bluesky.blueshieldca.com. With that, I'm your host, Coach Crump, and until next time, please take good care of yourselves.